Two civilizations, one continent, and a question historians still debate today. Which was the more advanced civilization, the Maya or the Aztecs? At first glance, the answer seems obvious. The Maya built towering pyramids deep within the jungle and mastered astronomy centuries before Europe reached similar levels of precision. The Aztecs created one of the largest cities on Earth and ruled a vast empire through military power and political organization. Yet these civilizations were never direct rivals. They lived in different eras and solved the challenge of civilization in completely different ways. Without iron, without horses, without wheeled transportation. One became a civilization of knowledge. The other became a civilization of power. To understand which achieved more, we must begin where every great story starts, at the beginning. The Maya and the Aztecs emerged from the same broad region of Mesoamerica, but their histories unfolded centuries apart. The Maya developed across the tropical forests of modern Guatemala, Belize, southern Mexico, Honduras, and El Salvador. Unlike many ancient civilizations, they never formed a single unified empire. Instead, the Maya world became a mosaic of independent city-states. Great centers such as Tikal, Calakmul, Palenque, and Copan each possessed their own rulers, armies, and political ambitions. Their unity was cultural rather than political. They shared religious beliefs, related languages, artistic traditions, and a common understanding of the cosmos. For over 1,000 years, Maya civilization evolved through cycles of prosperity, rivalry, and innovation. The Aztecs arrived much later. By the time the Mexica people appeared in central Mexico during the 11th century, many of the great Maya cities of the classic period had already declined. According to tradition, the Mexica founded Tenochtitlan in 1325 after witnessing an eagle perched on a cactus while devouring a serpent. The chosen site was an island surrounded by the waters of Lake Texcoco. At first, it seemed an unlikely location for a capital. Yet from this marshy island, the Aztecs built one of the most efficient and powerful states in the history of the Americas. The contrast was striking. The Maya had more than a millennium to develop their civilization. The Aztecs had less than 2 centuries before the arrival of the Spanish. That difference in time would shape the achievements, strengths, and destinies of both civilizations. If civilization is measured by intellectual achievement, the Maya stand among the greatest scholars of the ancient world. Their most remarkable accomplishments emerged not from conquest, but from observation, calculation, and record-keeping. The Maya developed the most sophisticated calendar system in the Americas. The sacred Tzolk'in calendar contained 260 days. Alongside it operated the Hab, a solar calendar of 365 days. When both cycles aligned, a complete period of 52 years had passed. This became known as the calendar round. Yet these calendars represented only a fraction of Maya knowledge. Through centuries of careful observation, Maya astronomers tracked the movements of celestial bodies with extraordinary precision. They calculated the synodic cycle of Venus with an error margin measured in mere seconds per year. They recorded the patterns of eclipses and monitored the movements of planets across generations. They accomplished all of this without telescopes, without advanced instruments, without contact with Eurasian scientific traditions. Their understanding of cosmic time stretched millions of years into both the past and future. At a time when much of the world measured history in centuries, the Maya envisioned time on an almost unimaginable scale. This level of astronomical precision required equally sophisticated mathematics. The Maya independently developed the concept of zero, one of the most important breakthroughs in human intellectual history. Represented by a shell-shaped symbol, zero was not simply an empty space. It functioned as a true numerical value within a positional system based on 20. This innovation allowed Maya scholars to perform calculations of immense complexity. Dates spanning vast stretches of time could be recorded and analyzed. Astronomical cycles could be tracked with extraordinary accuracy. Their mathematical system achieved a level of abstraction rarely seen anywhere in the ancient world. Perhaps even more impressive was their writing system. The Maya created the most advanced writing system ever developed in the Americas. Their script combined logograms representing entire words with syllabic signs representing sounds. The result was a flexible system capable of recording nearly every aspect of spoken language. Maya scribes documented history. They recorded royal genealogies. They preserved myths of creation. They wrote poetry. They tracked astronomical observations. They maintained records of political events and diplomatic relationships. For centuries, scholars struggled to decipher these inscriptions. Many believed Maya writing was purely symbolic. Everything changed during the 20th century, when researchers gradually unlocked the phonetic elements hidden within the glyphs. The work of Yuri Konorazov helped demonstrate that Maya writing encoded sounds as well as meanings. Once the inscriptions could finally be read, a completely different Maya world emerged. The old image of peaceful astronomer priests vanished. Instead, historians discovered powerful kings competing for influence, forming alliances, waging wars, and struggling for legitimacy. The Maya were not isolated dreamers. They were active participants in complex political systems, every bit as sophisticated as those found elsewhere in the ancient world. The Aztecs inherited portions of this intellectual tradition through centuries of cultural exchange across Mesoamerica. Their calendars remained accurate and important. Their cosmology reflected deep ideas about time and creation. But they did not pursue astronomical observation with the same intensity, nor did they develop a writing system capable of representing language as completely as the Maya script. Their records relied more heavily on pictorial symbols and memory aids. These systems were effective but less flexible. In mathematics, astronomy, and writing, the Maya reached heights unmatched anywhere else in pre-Columbian America. Yet knowledge alone does not create an empire. The next chapter belongs to a civilization that mastered something different: organization, engineering, and the construction of a city unlike anything the continent had ever seen. If you're enjoying this journey through ancient history, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments which Maya achievement impresses you most. Because now we arrive at the city of the impossible. While the Maya excelled in intellectual achievement, the Aztecs transformed engineering into a force capable of reshaping the landscape itself. Their masterpiece was Tenochtitlan. By the 15th century, it had become one of the largest cities in the world. Its population may have reached between 200,000 and 300,000 inhabitants. At the same time, London contained only a fraction of that number. The city stood upon islands within Lake Texcoco. 3 massive causeways connected it to the mainland. Canals crossed its neighborhoods, creating a transportation network that reminded later observers of Venice, but on a much larger scale. Fresh water flowed into the city through a sophisticated dual aqueduct system connected to the springs of Chapultepec. One section could be repaired while the other continued functioning. Few cities anywhere possessed such practical engineering. The commercial heart of the city was Tlatelolco. Thousands of merchants gathered there daily. Food, textiles, tools, luxury goods, exotic products from distant regions. Everything was organized with remarkable efficiency. Spanish observers expressed amazement at both the scale and order of the marketplace. Yet the true foundation of Aztec success lay beyond the markets, the chinampas. These artificial agricultural islands were constructed from layers of aquatic vegetation, mud, and fertile soil. Trees anchored them into the lakebed, creating stable growing platforms surrounded by water. The results were extraordinary. The surrounding water naturally regulated temperature and moisture, allowing repeated harvests throughout the year. These floating fields became among the most productive agricultural systems ever developed. Without chinampas, Tenochtitlan could never have supported such a large population. The Aztec state strengthened this agricultural foundation through tribute collected from conquered regions. Cacao, cotton, feathers, jade, obsidian, vanilla, rubber. Countless valuable goods flowed toward the imperial capital. The Maya also developed advanced agricultural systems. They built terraces on hillsides, raised fields in wetlands, water management systems in cities such as Palenque, underground drainage channels, irrigation networks. Yet Maya agriculture remained decentralized because the Maya world itself remained decentralized. Each city adapted independently to its local environment. The Aztecs pursued a different model. They concentrated resources, population, and authority into a single integrated urban system. If the Maya demonstrated the power of knowledge, Tenochtitlan demonstrated the power of organization. And organization soon became the foundation of something even greater: an empire. The Aztecs built one of the most effective political systems in Mesoamerican history. Following the formation of the Triple Alliance in 1428 between Tenochtitlan, Texcoco, and Tlacopan, Aztec influence expanded rapidly across central Mexico. Within less than a century, hundreds of cities came under imperial control or tribute obligations. Military organization played a central role. Elite warrior societies such as the Eagle Warriors and Jaguar Warriors gained prestige through battlefield achievements. Capturing enemies was often more important than killing them. War served multiple purposes. It expanded territory, it secured tribute, and it supplied captives for important religious ceremonies. The Aztecs even conducted ritualized conflicts known as flower wars, where the goal was frequently capture rather than destruction. Communities that resisted could face severe consequences. Those that submitted often retained local leadership and traditions, while contributing resources to the empire. The result was a remarkably efficient system of political control. The Maya also knew warfare. For centuries, Maya city-states fought one another, formed alliances, broke treaties, and competed for prestige. The inscriptions decoded during the 20th century revealed a world filled with political maneuvering and military conflict. Kings were captured, cities were attacked, dynasties rose and fell. Yet no Maya ruler ever created a centralized empire comparable to the Aztec state. Their wars resembled regional struggles among competing powers rather than imperial expansion. Religion shaped both civilizations. It influenced politics, agriculture, science, government. Calendars determined planting seasons, ceremonies, and major political events. The gods legitimized rulers and provided explanations for the universe. Among the Aztecs, human sacrifice occupied a highly visible role within religious life. According to Aztec beliefs, the gods had sacrificed themselves to create and sustain the world. Humans therefore carried obligations toward the cosmic order. The Maya also practiced sacrifice, but often emphasized royal bloodletting rituals. Kings and nobles performed acts of self-sacrifice during important ceremonies to communicate with ancestors and divine forces. Both civilizations viewed religious practice as essential to maintaining balance in the universe. Yet eventually, both societies faced crisis. For the Maya, the decline began centuries earlier. Between the 9th and 10th centuries, many major southern cities experienced a gradual collapse. Evidence suggests a combination of prolonged droughts, environmental stress, population pressures, political instability, and warfare. Cities such as Tikal, Copan, Palenque, and Quirigua gradually lost population. Monument construction slowed, political authority weakened, trade networks fragmented. Over approximately a century, many once great urban centers were abandoned. The jungle slowly reclaimed them. Yet Maya civilization survived in other regions. Northern centers such as Chichen Itza flourished during later centuries. The civilization transformed rather than disappeared. The Aztecs faced a different fate. Their empire remained powerful, but growing resentment existed among many tributary peoples. Independent rivals such as Tlaxcala resisted Aztec domination. These tensions would become critically important when foreign newcomers arrived from across the Atlantic. If you've enjoyed this exploration, subscribe for more documentaries and leave a comment below. Do you believe intellectual achievement or imperial power leaves the greater legacy? Because the final chapter changes everything. When Spanish forces arrived in 1519, they entered a politically divided world. Hernán Cortés quickly realized that many communities viewed the Aztecs not as protectors, but as rulers to be opposed. Most important among these allies were the Tlaxcalans. Together with thousands of indigenous warriors, Spanish forces marched toward Tenochtitlan. What followed became one of the defining events in American history. Disease spread rapidly. Political alliances shifted. Military campaigns intensified. In 1521, after an 80-day siege, Tenochtitlan fell. The magnificent capital was devastated. The empire collapsed. A civilization that had risen with extraordinary speed disappeared as an independent political power. The Maya experienced a different timeline. Their final independent states survived much longer. The last Maya kingdom was not conquered until 1697, nearly 175 years after the fall of Tenochtitlan. So which civilization was more advanced? There is no simple answer. In mathematics, astronomy, and writing, the Maya had no equal in the Americas. Their intellectual achievements remain extraordinary, even by modern standards. In urban planning, hydraulic engineering, state administration, and imperial organization, the Aztecs created something unprecedented within Mesoamerica. The Maya built a civilization of knowledge. The Aztecs built a civilization of power. One explored the universe through numbers and observation. The other reshaped the physical world through organization and engineering. Both succeeded in ways that continue to amaze historians today. And both would ultimately face the same challenge: the arrival of Europe. The story of the Maya and the Aztecs is not a competition with a single winner. It is the story of two extraordinary solutions to the challenge of civilization. The Maya looked toward the stars. They measured time with astonishing precision, developed advanced mathematics, created the most sophisticated writing system in the Americas, and left behind an intellectual legacy that scholars are still uncovering today. The Aztecs looked toward the earth. They built vast cities, engineered productive landscapes, organized powerful armies, and created an empire that dominated much of central Mexico in less than 2 centuries. Both civilizations transformed human history. Both achieved accomplishments that continue to challenge modern assumptions about the ancient world. Yet much of their knowledge was lost. Books were destroyed. Cities were dismantled. Monuments were buried beneath forests and growing colonial settlements. What survives today represents only a fraction of what once existed. Every archaeological discovery adds another piece to the puzzle. Every inscription decoded brings forgotten voices back to life. Thank you for joining us on this journey through two of the greatest civilizations of the ancient Americas. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell us whether you believe the Maya or the Aztecs left the greater legacy. And be sure to join us next time as we uncover another remarkable chapter from humanity's forgotten past.